I don't know if love was in the air last night, but we did see the men tell all on The Bachelorette, and it was an emotional night, perhaps even more so than usual because of just how much time these guys spent together in close quarters due to the COVID production schedule, which of course shut everything down back in March, almost cost ABC the entire season of The Bachelorette. But as host Chris Harrison tells me, much like love, the show would find a way.
In the 18 years I've been doing this show, we've never dealt with anything like this.
How close did we come to not having a Bachelorette season this year?
Luckily, and it took an extreme, Herculean effort that just said we're going to shoot. And we created this quarantine bubble. We were getting tested, every few days. Even though we were in quarantine, we weren't near anybody, we were still getting tested. We were the first big major Hollywood production to go back to work. If we went poorly, it was not going to be good for the industry. And so we just did our part and got through it.
The reason I don't have your day card is a bit of a personal story. I'm going to step away for a few days. I'm going to take my son to college.
You left for a little bit. Strict protocols meant even you had to quarantine. How hard was that, having to hand over the reins?
It was brutal. So here's the thing. I took a break to take my son to TCU. It was the easiest decision I've ever made. There was no chance I was not taking my son to college.
Fellas, love to introduce you to JoJo, who's going to be helping me out when I'm gone.
JoJo, Dallas girl, was able to step in for me. But when you leave, you have to obviously go through the protocol. So I was back at La Quinta. I just had to sit in my room for days and days, and then you get tested out.
What has been the worst aspect of having to produce this show in the middle of a pandemic?
Being in full lockdown for 50, 60 days where you're just, it seems like it'd be great. It's not, because you're not there with your friends, family, you're not there with your loved ones.
So that was the worst aspect. What was the best aspect, or what most surprised you about this experience?
The intimacy. I think just there was no break here. It was just on. And that pressure cooker actually created something pretty special. Just the level of pressure and intimacy that we had was just different. And there's an aspect of that I think we may take over into this new version of whatever we come back with.
I mean, we're at almost 20 years of the show, more than 40 seasons in the franchise. You guys are still going strong. What's the secret?
A lot of hard work and dedication by some amazingly talented people, first and foremost, but the show's different. Every season it's different, and we change with the time. So we're a microcosm of what's going on in our culture, in our communities, and they're dealing with stuff that you're dealing with in your life right now. Well, and the good news is, I think the main thing is there's only been one constant in 20 years, and that's the host. So I think we can really pinpoint why this is so successful.
There you have it.
At least that's what my agent tells them every year.
A couple of cool takeaways from that interview. You may have noticed behind Chris, he had that painting of the Texas flag, a North Texas native, always repping his roots. And it is hard to believe just how long The Bachelor and Bachelorette and the associated shows have been on the air. Chris said when he got the Bachelor job, his kid was 6 months old. He's now a freshman at TCU. You do the math.